and welcome to another episode of Steven's World. You join me today and we're going to be looking at my recent visit to the Mercedes-Benz World. As you may see in my last video, I went there for a driving experience. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link above. However, this video we're going to focus on the second part of my visit, which was the museum there. Now, the first vehicle that caught my eye, mainly for its colour, as you can see, was this A45 AMG. It's a car I haven't actually seen before. I've seen an A35, seen quite a few of them around now, but I haven't actually seen A45. And I was spoiled for choice this time because there wasn't one. But in fact, there was two. There was one also inside the museum. In my two favourite colours, if I bought an A45, I'd really be struggling between these two colours, which one to have. Now, one thing I always criticise Mercedes for is not producing enough colours. And what I mean by that is they do a fantastic range of white, silvers, greys, blacks. But I wish they did more colours like this G63 AMG that we're seeing here. And this is a colour called Ocean Blue Metallic, and I just could have stood there and stared at this colour all day long. It is absolutely gorgeous, and the pictures really don't do it justice. And right opposite the G-Class was this fantastic AMG SLS GT for a car I've never ever seen before, and you just have to really admire this car for just being so track focused. Now, as this year has been anything but normal, I haven't really seen many of the models that Mercedes have come out with, and being at Mercedes-Benz World, as you expect, all the new models are there, and it was like being a kid in the candy shop for me. First of all, there is this AMG GT-R Pro, which looked absolutely stunning. Next, we had a A35 AMG Saloon. Next up was a GLB 35 AMG, which I really believe one of the more quirky models that Mercedes actually brought out recently, and I can't wait to see the GLB 45 that they'll bring it out soon. And if you fancy something a little bit more everyday, there was also a non-AMG model, this one being a GLB 220D 4MATIC. And there was also a new GLA there, this one being a GLA 220D 4MATIC. And at the complete other end of the scale was the GLS. This particular one was a GLS 400D 4MATIC, and you can always tell when a car is big when it's a very long walk round. Lastly, there was a facelift of the current E-Class. This particular one was a converted one. It was a 450 4MATIC AMG line. Now we move on to some of the classic cars that were at the museum, and we'll start with a car that needs absolutely no introduction. Obviously, you all know what this is, but for those of you who don't, it is a 300 SL Gullwing, obviously finished in silver, traditional colour for these, and this one has a fantastic red interior that really contrasts that silver. Next to the Gullwing, and looking equally as stunning, was this 1952 W187 220 Cabriolet. It features a 2.2 straight six-cylinder engine, which produces about 80 horsepower, and was available as a saloon coupe, or as we see here, a cabriolet. Next up was a absolutely stunning SL Pagoda. This particular model was a 280 and looks absolutely beautiful in this whitey cream colour with a fantastic tan interior. Next up was a 1966 600 short wheelbase. This featured a 6.3 litre V8, which produces an impressive 250 horsepower. Now, this one is the short wheelbase version. Despite how long it actually looks, this one was meant to be driven by owners, whereas the long wheelbase version was also meant to be chauffeur driven. And one of the facts that I was really surprised, actually, I never knew this about this particular car, was that they were produced in 1963 until 1981. I never realised they were produced quite that late. Next up was a 1971 W111 280 SE 3.5, which is a bit of a mouthful. This one featured a 3.5 litre V8. It produced about 197 horsepower. Now, interestingly enough, there were only 245 examples of the 3.5 produced. This particular one is believed to be a pre-production model, which makes it the only pre-production white and dry 3.5 that actually exists in the whole world. So finally, we have a 1989 W126 300 SE. This featured a 3 litre straight six engine producing 190 horsepower, and this particular series of S-Class is one of my favourites. So if you're as mad on Mercs as I am, you'll absolutely love Mercedes-Benz World. It comes really highly recommended from me. Whether you're just doing a couple hours at the museum, or whether you're going there for a full day and doing a driving experience as well as the museum. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Stevens 4 World. Don't forget to hit the like and also subscribe buttons. And also make sure you drop me a follow on my Facebook and Instagram pages.